Forgive me, Lord, for I know not what I'm about to do. Scorched earth Cameron incoming. Are all parties concerned? Jack Doohan, DRS, Fabio Briatore sending that fella out with as near as makes no difference, no practice in his rookie season around Suzuka, a fire-breathing dragon of a track. What are we doing here? We'll talk about that. So too, we'll talk about Lando Norris doing a pity party in his latest and greatest interview. Oh, it's so difficult to be me. Multi-millionaire, Ferrari F40, McLaren P1. Oh, it's so difficult to be me, says Lando Norris 1.0. So too, we'll talk about Frederick Verstappen, Ferrari, them their red cars with yellow badge, black prancing horse atop, talking about he's closer to McLaren than some people. What's he talk? What is he talking about? I've never seen such an abbot of unreason. And then we'll point our scopes over at the balls that are red, because we are living through a time of unprecedented circumstances in F1. Only one driver has won 5 consecutive championships of the drivers' variety, back to back to back to back. He had a name, and his name was Michael Schumacher. We are on the precipice, ladies and gentlemen, of being able to report into our grandkids, tell the story of Max Verstappen. Why is this not going to happen? Because Red Bull can't build themselves a bloody car, and I'm free with it. The more that I think about this, that the level, extent, breadth and depth of the incompetence of the Bulls that are red needs talking to. And this Friday afternoon show, we're going to go scorched stuff. Let's talk about Jack Doohan in the first instance. Yeah, he made a bad mistake. He forgot to turn off the DRS. I mean, what are we doing here? Abbots of unreason setting. Is Jack Doohan even allowed to use scissors? This is very basic stuff, not calculus. This is an Ayrton Senna Monaco 88 Jack Doohan. Surely just know to turn off your DRS, Jack. Yeah, you got away with it on the lap preceding, but surely you understand that fortuitous circumstances, that you benefited from them indeed. Therefore, going forward, remember what you've got to do. The DRS won't deactivate unless you're super strong on the brakes, or super strong as far as the extent to which you ease off the accelerator, Jack. This is basics. We are rooting for you, sir. Fabio Briatore is already waiting in the rings, ready to steal your lunch money for you. You understand the stakes that Franco Colapinto has been signed unprecedented settings on a long-term reserve driver deal. Who does that? Unless they are Fabio Briatore bought in to one day in the not too distant future sell Alpine. Ergo, get that asset value of that French team up to a position, 1 billion, let's say, where the owners will happily depart, defend or vacate. So Jack Doohan, against that backdrop, what you can't afford to do is make silly mistakes, sir. Not DRS, yeeting it into the barrier. Destructors Championship, you're probably number 1 on that list now, Jack. Can you imagine bloody Fabio looking at you like he probably was happy back in the bloody pit lane? You know what I mean? There you go. There you go, owners. Do you need to see any more evidence of the fact that we need to succeed one Jack Doohan with one Franco Colapinto, the dude who looks just like the twin of Ayrton Senna, the dude with Argentina, a nation behind him, the dude that comes with 20 millions worth of sponsorship dollars in terms of Carlos Slim, Checo Perez's old mate? Do you need any further reason? That's what Fabio Briatore would be saying. And all at the altar of Jack Doohan making nodding mistakes of the unforced variety. What are we doing, chat? DRS. Turn it off, Jack. For flip's sake. It's annoying. Now, I know Bruno Senna made a similar mistake at the same track 2012. I know it's not completely unprecedented. Drivers will make mistakes. But that level of mistake is basics, chat, and that's what leaves me so frustrated. Although I will defend Jack Doohan in this sense, why throw him into an FP2 without an FP1? Why not sacrifice the dude on the other side of the grid, Pierre Gasly, who's got infinitely more experience than Jack Doohan? If anybody can afford to miss an FP1, it would be him. Therefore, this feels like a screw job. You remember the Montreal screw job? Well, I'm renaming that the Jack Doohan screw job. It feels like Fabio Briatore, executive advisor at Alpine, has an agenda, and I don't like it, Benzi. Umanch, I desperately don't like it. This doesn't feel right. And again, it's already happened to Liam, but Liam fell on his own sword, was talking all of that jive talk about adaptability is mythos and legend, that I would jump in that car. Don't talk to me about Tsunoda-san because he's old news. I've beaten him in feeder formula because of all that jive talk. You don't have... Empathy is a thing, of course, but you can forgive me if I lack that a tad when I'm talking and addressing the Liam Lawson circumstance because of his braggadocio nature, the way he's gone about his behaviour and his activities, particularly in the way he's addressed Tsunoda-san over the past couple of weeks. But Jack Doohan cuts a more empathetic figure. This is why I don't like the circumstance, and it feels like the sword of Damocles for Jack Doohan at Alpine, the altar of the succession of Juan Franco Colapinto. It feels like it's a matter of when and not if. And that, ladies and gentlemen, the F1 jury set. If you watch the onboard, by the way, you can see that he doesn't activate on the left side of it. You can see that he doesn't deactivate the DRS. He thinks that coming off the throttle ever so slightly and a dab on the brakes will deactivate it for him, but he wasn't strong enough. The extent of his inputs didn't deactivate the DRS, and that's what happened. Look, F1 isn't for everyone. It's a piranha's tank, and sadly I feel like it is a stay of execution. Purgatory F1 settings. Let's talk about this Lando Norris. Poor Jack hasn't even had a chance. I know, Benzi. Joe, an excuse to drop him. It feels like a setup at this point. It does feel like the Montreal the Jack Doohan screw job by dint of Fabio Briatore and his commercial aspirations. Sell that team. 1 point something billion next couple of years. That's why he was brought in. But I digress. Let's talk about Lando Norris. Lando Norris 1.0, because I think I'm through. I don't want to go scorched stuff, but they just bring me back in, chat, each and every single time. Lando is a brilliant bloody driver. Let me say that front and centre. Preface everything I'm about to say with that. However, there is something about Lando, if we're talking about empathy, I mean, he wants to be the perfect victim. Why, chap? You own a McLaren P1. They are upwards of £1 million. What are you talking about? You own a Ferrari F40, chap. Be grateful for that. Why every single time does he cut a promo, an interview, does he sound like the perfect victim? Oh, woe is me. Life is so hard. It's so difficult to be. It's not easy to be an F1 driver. Are you having a laugh in a world where heat or eat is a thing, where the cost of living is chaos and inflation is running roughshod over the financial resources of people globally? Have you seen the stock market today? Have you checked your pension values? The world is in chaos. The socio-economic circumstance is madness. So it doesn't sit well with me when I see an F1 driver doing the life is hard. My F40 just got crashed the other day. McLaren P1. Oh, the pressure is too much. Behave yourself. Go away with that nonsense. My shoulders are too brittle, too not robust enough to tolerate such a juxtaposition, such insensitivity as far as the circumstance of 99% of the population in the world dealing with some serious hardship. And Lando Norris is driving in an F1 car, the fastest one ostensibly on the grid, as at April of 2025. And every single time I open up a bloody Lando Norris 1.0 interview, it's moaning. Oh, he's such a nice guy, say the engineers. His performance guy. Oh, he's a good lad. Like, oh, it's all about justice and he'll speak up when he... Mate, I don't care. Get in the car and solve for the issues that so plagued your campaign last year, and then let's have a conversation. I don't want to read or see anything. I side with Peter Windsor in this argument. Just go away. Don't do any social media. Sack off the quadrant nonsense. Zip it for a little bit. There is a championship to be won, and I would argue there is lap time to putting on blinkers, razor sharp focus, just like the guy on the other side of the garage, Oscar Jack Piastri, said that's what he's done with a view to improve his qualifying time. He's looked at his weaknesses. He's gone and studied the tape in the off-season. He's coming to win championships. Lando Norris, the way that you're moving, I would argue that as at April 2025, you are not and that's going to be techie, right? Let's talk about somebody else, chat. Whilst I've still got bandwidth. Bloody Frederick Vasseur. Why every time do I know there's pressure. I know that Italy's team is Scuderia Ferrari, the red team, yellow badge, black prancing horse. I get it. It's always going to be pressure. Rob Smedley's spoken to it a gazillion times. I understand. Frederick Vasseur's tenure now, not quite the same extent of Jack Doohan purgatory, the Jack Doohan screw job. It's not there yet, but it will be soon. Frederick Vasseur does not have long, therefore. So why each and every single time that he opens his mouth does he sound like he's misread the room, that he hasn't understood the assignment just yet? Here's his latest quotable. We are not that far away, even if McLaren is a step forward. Far away from who or what? What are you talking about? Did you see the FP2 times? Yeah, Charles Leclerc was God tier in Sector 1, but how about Sector 2? Nowhere to be seen. Sector 3, nowhere to be seen. So overall, if you're looking at ideal hypotheticals, 0.6 adrift is where Charles Leclerc was, as versus his old mates at McLaren, Lando and Oscar Piastri. So what are you talking about, Frederick Vasseur? Are you asking us to disbelieve the evidence that our own eyes and ears are showing us? What are you talking about? You're not that far away. You're half a second down the road, chap. Fix your fudging car. And again, stop being so stubborn. Not Frederick Vasseur, but as an outfit. Ferrari for the longest time have chose to bark up their own incorrect, by the way, design philosophy tree. Lest we forget, pull rod has been established long as the meta as far as this rule and reg spec of ground effect cars. Adrian Newey, you have to thank for that. Put the pull rod at the front, therefore. Oh no, said Frederick Vasseur last year. Oh no, we were going to bark up our road. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Humble yourself. Take off your stubborn cap and put it to the bloody side. What are we doing, chat? I don't understand. Bruce, I don't get it. I really don't understand why all these bloody excuse merchants are failing to see the evidence that's been put forth before you. You can see whatever you want to do in CFD and wind tunnel, right? But you ultimately have to humble yourself before the results that reality are showing you. You are nowhere. Benny, you're a legend. You are absolutely nowhere, Ferrari. You saw the communication between Lewis and Adami the other day. So too Charles Leclerc. Nonsense. You're not where you should be. You haven't done your due diligence. So what now? Improve on it, lest you all want to lose your jobs. The halo effect around Sir Lewis and the marketing behemoth that is the symbiosis, the synergy even between brand Hamilton and brand Scuderia. I get it, and it makes sense. Lewis Hamilton isn't a businessman, he's a business man. I get it. It was brilliant then, the Instagram post, unprecedented engagement. But how about now? It all fades to black. It's nothing. Indeed, it will bring shame on the family name unless you go out there and back it up like Michael Schumacher and Jean Todt and Ross Brawn did 2000 to 2004. Now, I know they gave themselves time, right? They didn't hit the ground running. It wasn't an instant success story. But I would argue, if past his prologue, Frederick Vasseur, the Sandtimer, has just done one of these on your tenure as team principal at the red team, with them their yellow badges and the black prancing horse atop. What are we doing here? Let me tell you about V10s as well. V10's meant to be coming back in now, depending on who you talk to. Some people are saying that my MBS, the one thing that he's done good thus far in his tenure as president of the FIA, trying to push this through. Coincidental potentially as far as its timing, because there's chaos going in the background of the litigation variety. Dave Richards, Robin Reed et al. Looking to potentially institute for some legal action on FIA President Mohammed bin Salman, shutting them out of a World Motorsport Council meeting the other day, and then pushing through amendments to the FIA legislature, the Sporting Code of Conduct and the rules and regs without having a meeting that was quorate, allegedly. Robin Reed did not like that. Dave Richards too. Having them trying to have them even sign a cheeky NDA impromptu when one's baked into their employment contracts all the while. Again, subject of talk and rancor, speculation in the background that this could lead to legal action, as if Mohammed bin Salman needed any more of that. Susie Wolff, again, criminal proceedings in French courts. You will recall F1 Business Journal, whatever that nonsense rag is called. Susie Wolf saw in there that there was allegations of conflicts of interest, that she was sharing info with her hubby, the one that they call Toto the boy who cried wolf. Susie didn't like that because those allegations were without foundation. There are court proceedings happening again that will run and run. And then thirdly, High Tech said, you know what, FIA, you're going to sack us off. You're going to deny us entry to Formula One at the altar of financial resources or lack thereof. How about this? Why don't you prove that in a court of law that your reasoning was sound? Rumour and speculation is that they won that first proceeding, and now we're on to arbitration settings, which they will win as well if they haven't already. Damages are what the FIA owe to High Tech. It's going to get techie, and I say all of that to say this. It's convenient, therefore, on the back of all the chaos, it feels like Mohammed Ben Sulayem is losing, not the will to live necessarily, that's too extreme, but as far as his stranglehold on the FIA in dismissing 2 of the 4 audit members, that he's now acutely aware that he needs to tick and tie his own homework, because otherwise it could be chaos. It's convenient, therefore, that now he wants to curry favour is the right word. How about V10s? I can't lose there. You know, one of those ones. If I talk about V10s, all of the F1 world, the F1 community, my own employees, the FIA, the FOM, they will love me. They will have no alternative but to get behind me and vote me back in December for the FIA presidential elections. That was my first good thing he's done in months, if not years. MBS says V10s potentially bring the back in 2026 new rules and regs instead of this 50-50 hybrid business, 50% electric, 50% combustion engine. That's what we're supposed to get in 2026. Mohammed Ben Sulayem says sack that off, bring back V10s, visceral engine noise, the likes of which has always punctuated Formula One and the F1 community and fans viewing. F1 is nothing without that bloody sound. You've heard these SH1T cars and the way that they sound. Nobody wants this. Bring back the V10s, to which Toto the boy who cried wolf said, hang on a second, we put all this preparation into the 50-50 power units already for 2026. I'm not down with that. We've expedited for our learning curve. We have durable competitive advantage, Toto says, going into 2026. Less than 12 months. What are you doing here? That's not time sufficient. That's not sufficient runway to do a complete about turn, a 180, and start designing V10s. Oh no. And he's not the only one. Audi have said similar, right? All of the engine manufacturers and OEMs are not going to have that. Andrew Benson, for the avoidance of doubt, one of the go-toest. All F1 journos are created equally, but some are created more equal than others. Andrew Benson said that there will be a meeting held this week coming, and all of the OEMs will veto this idea of V10s as at 2026. 2028, well, that's a different proposition. Potentially they'll push it through then. Longer lead time. Give us 36 months to put something together, because again, this will decide who will have the durable competitive advantage going forward. Everybody remembers 2014, split turbo hybrid settings. Mercedes nailed it, gapping the field in terms of maximal velocity and output to anywhere up to 40 brake horsepower. Why do you think they won between 2014 and 2020 ad infinitum? In extreme, nobody could get near them. 40 brake horsepower advantage, that was the delta. That's why aerodynamically that car was nothing to speak of. It was just a dragster, chat. That's the truth. Towards the end of 2021, when they turned up the engine, sans party mode et al., you saw the true potential of that power unit, not the car, but the bloody power unit. And that's why this is so important. Although I would say, Toto the boy who cried wolf, stop being a Debbie Downer. Just put this through. What are you talking about? Be the best thing that F1 has done in absolute years. Again, if you want to continue growing into growth markets, North America, North Asia, if that's the modus operandi, the strategic objectives of the FOM, then they want to push this through expeditiously as soon as possible, forthwith. Because again, there'll be nothing that I can think of, no lower hanging fruit than this, to gain attention dollars as far as the weird and wacky world that is the one that F's. Let me tell you about this. Helmut Marko hints that Adrian Newey was the obstacle, the stumbling block, the blocker as far as getting Yuki Tsunoda into that top seat Benzi. Champ, that's a reasonable bet. I'm going Oscar, Lando and Wood it gone. We'll get into predictions around this Grand Prix shortly, I promise you. JP, the list. Mass overtook... Oof. Whose battery was dead. What are you talking about, Jay? I doubt at this point that Michael, as there's not much between them at the moment. What are you guys going? We'll go in on Japanese Grand Prix, I promise you shortly. Go on then. Here's what Helmut Marko said, that Adrian Newey blocked the signing of Yuki Tsunoda to the big table, to the big team alongside Max Verstappen, to which Adrian Newey's missus retorted, what are you on about, chat? If it was the Mexican Grand Prix, that doesn't even make sense, says Amanda Newey on Twitter. Quote, he was on gardening leave then, so what are you talking about, Helmut Marko? Amanda Newey never ever been shy at coming out and defending her man. It's interesting that, not that it matters necessarily, because Yuki Tsunoda now has the job. It's show and prove time. Tsunoda-san, all of what's gone on before is sunk cost. It bears no relevance, nor can it have any control over your performance going forward, Tsunoda-san. And to that end, did you see Yuki Tsunoda in FP1? Guts, you're a legend, but what are we doing here? Tsunoda-san looked incredible. Now, look, let me defer to market expertise here. Mr. Wins has been saying for the longest time that if you go back and watch the NASCAR show run where they were driving stocks, it looked like then Tsunoda had this God tier level feel, different to anything else that Liam Lawson could leverage. In that sense, Tsunoda-san was always going to love himself a bit of a tail-happy RB21, snap oversteer, a car that you need to mitigate for the understeer by floating the rear, a very tail-happy rear around you, instability, imbalanced settings. Yuki showed then that he wasn't too bad, said friend of the channel, Mr. Windsor, to which the F1 community said, what are you talking about, Windsor? Behave yourself. But the depth of expertise is a thing for real, as at April of 2025. Defer to those bods with that level of breadth and depth of knowledge as far as Formula One, because they can bank on that. It's money. Here's how you know. You saw the show run a couple of days ago, right? This at the bloody... on the streets of Japan, you saw Liam Lawson and Isaac Hajal struggle to get the U-turn in, struggle to break traction and then control a very oversteer happy RB7, and then Tsunoda-san jumped in the car and nailed it each and every single time. If anecdotal evidence is a thing that indicates how comfortable Tsunoda-san is in wading through the waters of being on the verge of traction limits, then that's all you need to know. Tsunoda-san jumped in that car in FP1 and looked like he'd been driving it all his life. At the end of FP1, Tsunoda-san, when they were doing quick runs on the red label soft compound tyres, Tsunoda-san was 1.5 tenths adrift of Max Verstappen. Now, of course, you've got to normalise for different engine modes, potentially different fuel set it. Of course, you've got to normalise for that. Different setups. Max Verstappen, who we'll come on to in a minute, has said he wasn't too happy with the way the car was set up, that there's a ways to go. Yeah, and still, if past his prologue, Checo Perez never, as near as makes no difference, managed to get that close to Max Verstappen, and he was driving alongside him for 300 gazillion years. Liam Lawson tried over the course of 2 race weekends and never got within 1 second, as near as makes no difference, of his teammate Max Verstappen. Tsunoda-san jumps in there with all the pressure, racing at his home race, Suzuka Grand Prix. Again, the legacy and heritage to uphold of Gansan, Hattori-san, Tsuchiya-san, Drift King, all of whom came before him, legends of Japanese motorsport. And then he goes and does that 1.5 tenth. And for the avoidance of doubt, they always say that if you do the F1 maths, you gauge somebody's greatness by how well they do against other greats. Now, if Max Verstappen's had his Weetabix in FP1, that bodes well for Tsunoda-san, eh? He's not bad. Quali will answer my questions. I agree with you, Guts. I don't hate it, Jams. And Yuki was super profesh on the radio. Almost too professional, Jams. Now, one of those where you have to... It's skeptical hippo face. What's happened to Yuki Tsunoda? Why is he being so stoic? Almost overly so. To where you feel like something's wrong with Yuki. Did he have a flu? Was it hay fever? That's not the Yuki Tsunoda that I know and love. Temperamental. Raising hell. Scorched vocally over the radio each and every single time. It's as if he knew and understood the assignment, which is different, chap. I don't know, a paradigm shift as far as Tsunoda-san. Let me tell you about this as well. It's getting techier than techie things. You forgive me. Forgive me, Lord, for I know not what I do. The Friday afternoon show, and we're going hard. And by the way, we'll be live definitely for qualifying. I'm going to try and do P3, but FP3 even, but it might get a bit techie. Go on, let me tell you what happened as far as Red Bull and why your boy Cameron CC ain't too happy. Here's where I am as a sports fan, more than F1 fan. I enjoy living through unprecedented times and seeing greatness. I would contend that over the last few years, we've been privileged, we've been blessed to, since Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton in his pomp from circa 2014 all the way through 2020. Some God tier drives, 2018 Singapore, Silverstone as nearest makes their difference every single race. Yeah, like race weekend across years. God tier performances. I would contend that Max Verstappen has taken on that Sir Lewis baton and is doing things like that in real time. Mention no names: the Brazilian Grand Prix 2016 chaos settings, the Brazilian Grand Prix 2024 chaos settings, some of the GOTS qualifying laps that you'll ever see. Belgium Grand Prix last year. How's he doing that? How's he taking so much paste through poo on and keeping it on the island on the black stuff? This doesn't even make no sense. You just watch the onboards and you're like, heart in mouth, I'm doing one of these, waiting for Max Verstappen's car to break traction and yeet him into the barrier. It looks like he's carrying too much pace. How is he doing that? I'm struggling to understand. That's the level. Stop Max closing, Cameron. They will stay. But listen, I am invested in Sporting Endeavour par excellence PLC. Have always been, am now, and always will be. I would argue that Max has taken that greatness baton on from Sir Lewis and is looking to extend it going forward, post-modern day era Formula One. Now, as far as unprecedented circumstance, you bet your bottom dollar, selfishly, I want to be able to tell my grandkids that I lived through two consecutive 5-time champions in Michael Schumacher 2000 to 2004 Scuderia Ferrari settings, and so too Max Verstappen from 2021 through to 2025. So why then, chat? Let me riddle me this. Why then, chat, are Red Bull sabotaging his effort? Why can't they build a car? Let me read you out some headlines as if I'm just getting, maybe I'm getting vexed for no reason. Maybe pipe down, Cameron, wind your neck back in. Look at this. FP1, I think Max Verstappen was, or FP2 even, Max Verstappen was P8, Tsunoda-san in the other Red Bull P18. Where were the Racing Bulls, chat? Oh wait, non-rhetorical question. Hadjar was in P3, Liam Lawson was in P5. What is going on? Has somebody done a Uno reverse and made the Racing Bulls the senior team? That's what that looks like to me. Yeah, don't read too much into FP2. Yeah, Red Bull will always do one of those ones. They'll go away and do their due diligence and come back with a quicker car, at least more temperamental and more difficult to drive, probably, in qualifying the pace session. But is that good enough, chat? Guts. Red Bulls are at do or that 100% DEFCON 1 mode. Joe, well, I don't know what's going on here. Why? Let me read that out again. Tell me if am I tripping here? Am I seeing things, hallucinating? Maybe I'm just tired. All these late night streams at 3 a.m. in the morning. Let me read this out again and you guys fact check me. Red Bull at the end of P2. Max Verstappen was P8. Tsunoda-san was P18. Racing Bulls in the hands of Hadjar and Lawson respectively. P3 and P5. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a disgrace. If I'm at the annual general meeting of Red Bull, which they don't have because they're a private company, luckily for all, but if I were a shareholder, an invested entity or invested party even in Red Bull, I would have questions to ask. How is the junior team so much quicker than the senior one? What's going on? You said that when Adrian Newey left that you guys would be all right, able to work in a way that was autonomous, that you wouldn't miss him, that there wouldn't be a void into which all of the intellectual property and so lap time of the RB21 would fall. That's what you said. Those are your words, not mine. So what's happened? Do the variance analysis. Explain to me the before and after. Because we need this got to be some sort of causation. We need to do a deep dive with a view to understand for this in the first instance and fix for it shortly thereafter, because the stakes are this: Max Verstappen will leave that team in an instant with impunity, without compunction. Why? Because all that dude is a winner, so therefore he just wants to win. In his own mind, at the very least, he's the best driver. Many insiders in the paddock have him worth anywhere between 2 and 3 tenths on the rest of the field. Their words, not mine, and I will defer to their infinite wisdom. So why then a Red Bull yet and still not giving him the machinery requisite and commensurate to mount a title challenge, an unprecedented, only once before them, by the way, a 5-time consecutive driver chat? This is nonsense, chat. As if that wouldn't do one of these to F1, rising to Game of Thrones settings. Remember the White Walkers? That's what it would do to F1 if Max could win a 5th. It would go around the mainstream. You remember Michael Schumacher in his pump. Yeah, you can argue monotony settings, but if it's a close championship and Max managed to hold off a fire-breathing dragon in Lando, Mr. Woe Is Me, Oscar 2, Charles Leclerc 2, Sir Lewis 2, Tsunoda-san 2, it's a brilliant story. So what are we doing here? And here's where it gets even worse. Makes me yet more perturbed. Max said this, and I quote, "It was quite a difficult day today after P2. We tried a lot, but it didn't really come together yet. You need a lot of confidence and commitment here, but at the moment, I don't feel that yet." This is only days after the meeting in Milton Keynes at the factory, where Max Verstappen was chairing it, as near as makes no difference, and telling the engineers and aerobots and mechanics the direction in which they need to go to fix for this bloody car. Why is Max leading that conversation? Do you think that would happen if Adrian Newey was still a bum in a seat in situ? Absolutely flipping not. Oh, and by the way, you hear me keep talking about Adrian Newey, the last airbender, but he's not the only one. For Pete's sake. Jonathan Wheatley not long gone. Rob Marshall, not long gone. Dan Fallows, not long gone. By the way, not even just losing them, it's a double whammy, because you didn't lose Rob Marshall to Alpine. You lost him to McLaren, and where are they now? Only Paul Monaghan is left. Sorry, I don't like Red Baron, but I do hope that his five in a row record is not broken, Jake. I don't disagree. I mean, it's a moment in time. I would like to see it again. I mean, the romantic in me. I understand what you guys are saying, JKM, but I don't know. For the night is dark and full of terrors. Game of Thrones settings. Go on, let me read you out Paul Monaghan. Paul Monaghan, I think, is technical director still. One of the only GOAT ones still left at Red Bull who can put together, or at least assist materially in pulling together a car, an RB21, fixing for it to where it might one day very soon be capable of winning races and therefore championships. He said about the twitchy nature of the RB21 that it's happening across teams. Is it though, really? Difference in extents, Paul, and not kinds. Yeah, as far as the race lead, the McLaren is unstable at its rear. You can see in Sector 3, but Lando Norris during the free practice went back to the garage and they sorted it out. Your move therefore, Paul, fix that setup, fix your fudging car. Christian Horner's words, not mine. While Red Bull aims to improve stability and speed, Monaghan emphasised that all teams fate. I don't want to hear about all teams, Paul Monaghan. Max Verstappen, one of my guys, in addition to Sir Lee, he doesn't drive for all the teams. Why is it that both of my favourite drivers are driving for these noddy teams that don't know their rear end from their arm? It's nonsense. It's really, really frustrating, chat, and you'll forgive me. Do you know what I mean? Forgive me, Lord, for I know not what I do, and the extent to which I'm going scorched earth on this, the Friday night show. Despite drivers' difficulties, including Checo Perez and Liam Lawson, Monaghan expressed confidence in refining the car for better performance, highlighting Red Bull's commitment to imprint. Words, Paul. Words. Less chat, more action. You remember the words of Jamie Vardy when he was on that? Chat-ish, get banged. And Red Bull have been talking a lot of ish for a very, very long time. And now it appears that McLaren are banging them. They're down the road, gapping them. And it's not good enough. Paul Monahan wants to talk about all this stuff that all the other teams are struggling. Well, not McLaren, because here's McLaren's lot. McLaren's performance, this article reads, is the envy of all the other teams. Ferrari loses in the low minimum speed corners. Mercedes seems capable of anything, both upside and downside. Verstappen, it says, is fighting with an understeering, wind-sensitive car with degradation. Again, the rate of degradation, but a lot of straight line speed, reminiscent of the SF23. What are we doing here? That doesn't even those characteristics don't sound like they're reminiscent of the SF23 to me. They sound like they're reminiscent of the W13. Have Red Bull just transitioned even into Mercedes? Like, what are we doing here? This is absolute nonsense. And then when you look at the bloody top sector times in FP2, let me read them out. Max Verstappen, again, not a bad driver by all accounts. Max Verstappen sector 1, and I get it's only FP2. Maybe I need to reserve my judgment, curb my enthusiasm in that sense per se. Max Verstappen, though, in sector 1, 8th. Max Verstappen, sector 2, 9th. Max Verstappen, sector 3, FP2, 7th. What's the point? Riddle me this, chat. Explain that to me. Benzi, I just don't understand. Chatters are on a one-stop strategy. Light window has now been opened. Get to it, F1 boy, you're a legend. I just don't know what's going on. And then check out this simulation pace. I should bring when we do quali later, I will bring these up. Race simulation pace. McLaren have the whip hander, obviously. Mercedes, second, a tenth and a half adrift. Red Bull in third, 0.3 adrift of McLaren. Nobody can win anything. You could reincarnate Ayrton Senna himself, and even he couldn't win a championship in a car that's so bloody slow. It is not good enough. They need to sort it out. And Max Verstappen is telling them it was a difficult day. We tried a lot. It didn't really come together, but you need a lot of confidence, etc. On a track like Suzuka, this is the 130R, the Degnas, the S's. It's going to get techie, spoon. You're going to need confidence. It can't be super oversteery and slow. It can't be temperamental and imbalanced and lack for pace. Max Verstappen, I'd argue, could handle one if it was a quick car, but it was imbalanced and twitchy. Therefore, I think Max could drive around that. Tsunoda too in this present form, whilst he's had his Weetabix. But when you lack both, that's a many-headed beast now, a monster for which you're asking Max Verstappen to solve. And I don't think that's fair, chat. And again, as a selfish sports fan who only wants to see greatness, who always been invested in sporting excellence or sporting endeavour, even par excellence, I'm not best pleased with all this. I don't want to see a missed opportunity, and I think they deserve. If Max Verstappen chooses to go somewhere else on the back of this length and tenure of not insubstantial vehicular underperformance, and I can't hate him. Of course, go across to Aston Martin. Max will be gone by the start of next year, says Darren. He will join Aston Martin without a doubt. I think he's in an F1 purgatory. You can even analyze. I'm not a body language expert, but as soon as he starts talking about, well, let's see what happens with Honda. You never know what's going to happen in the future. At some point, we might collaborate again. Oh, and by the way, Honda are singing from the same hymn sheet, are they not? As Maximilian Verstappen. I saw Koji Watanabe, HRC head, come out and say something similar, that we love Maximilian Verstappen and we very much hope to work with Max again in the future. Didn't Max Verstappen in the showrun just mirror those statements of Koji Watanabe? Didn't he say, let's not rule out working with Honda again at some point in the future, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. Aston Martin's bod, the C-suite exec level ones, are having conversations with potential sponsors saying that you need to couch this proposition in terms of Max Verstappen being here. They are doing their damnedest to sign him. Lawrence Stroll's already told you, that when he gets passionate about something, he likes to win. On the other hand, Max's circumstance in real time is getting outpaced in FP2 engine mode, higher engine mode notwithstanding, by the junior team in Racing Bulls, both Hajar and bloody Liam Lawson. Not long demoted. Honestly, chat, is too much. A Honda Max BFF statement is a desire for future together. Of course, and that's what they're doing now. That's exactly what they're doing, is it not? Yes, it's breakfast. I can't even. Go on then. Chat, I'm going to run away. You guys have been legends. Excuse my scorched earthness. Lord, forgive me, for I know not what I do. But sometimes you've got to put some lenses. You've got to put your sights on some of these bods. Woe is me, Lando Norris, with the quickest car. Lest we forget him telling Lewis Hamilton, it's easier to win when you've got the quickest car. So too, Frederick Vasseur, now understanding in real time the pressure cooker that affronts him. Then you got to talk about bloody Red Bull and all of their nonsense. Allowing, it seems, an opportunity to make history slip through their fingers. It feels like the balls that are red and all the personnel over at there, particularly the ones responsible for building a car, are seizing defeat from the Moors no jaws at victory. Christian Horner, Dr. Helmut Marko, Enrico Balbo et al. Your move, sirs.